Okay, nationality change. I see. Nice. How do you see?
You always have to like poke at me with these Brexit comments.
I wasn't even poking at you. You just get always
I just get triggered.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah.
How are you seeing these matchups? I've been looking at the group stage. We've been looking at the European group stages today.
Not too many games have been played. TFT currently 2-0 in the group stage, winning their first 2 games. So definitely momentum behind them. Definitely kind of hitting their stride already. Defeating Chaos and 682. Chaos, we know, VT Faded and Matsumaman both joined. 682 is more of a sort of high-level pub stack. Zipzap, a Pango spammer. Toby and Wish have been on a couple of kind of Tier 3, Tier 2 CIS and European stacks as well. So a couple of good victories under their belt, but coming up against this new Aachen City Esports club, they dropped their roster after their initial roster didn't make it through the opens, picked up this squad, just pull a mouse sports, grab it up, no big deal. They look really good, and of course they have a UK Dota player in there, symmetrical, pulling out the big Lena performances in a couple of the games already. Looking pretty solid.
It's interesting because a couple of the players in Aachen City Esports used to play for the Final Trapper in some of these Sweden stacks, right? Some fun and Pablo, one of the better known. So he had that little video made of him like a while ago. He actually was quite legitimate. That position for just kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone's like, "Wow, Pablo's amazing!" And his Pudge specifically, I remember being one of his highlight heroes, even though they never picked him in competitive. Always fun to watch a hero like that, or a player like that.
Yeah, he was one of the big Earth Spirit players as well back then. And you've got to think, you mentioned Yasum fan. He's been playing with these guys since 2014. Lions, NIP, Burden, Alliance for a little bit. He's played with Frost, Hansken, Era, Chessie to a large extent for the majority of his career. Pablo, same story. So they've got to know the ins and outs of these teams. It's got to be said though, the Final Tribe, the past year or so of them been playing has been a massive grind for them. They got their team house, they got picked up by the Final Tribe, so they've got some financial backing to keep this Tier 1 dream alive. And they've looked decent at a couple of the minors they've been to. They've looked decent and had decent performances in some online tournaments. But when you're in the TI qualifiers, you have to bring that next level, right? You know that everyone's super hungry to try and make their way to the international.
Yeah, and now we're getting to see the draft of this final game. We're already into the 4th pick. So are we seeing for now? Final trip going for the Ember Spirit, very calm pick. Mars, we'll be seeing much more in Europe. Actually kind of forgotten in some of the other regions. I was watching SCA, South America. Some teams really favor him, but for example, one of the teams that really did in South America, Ego Boys, lost. So, that clearly not that good. And one of those heroes that a lot of players, after seeing him at first, were really excited about. Then after a while, started getting a couple slight nerfs and not seen as often, not seen as that super OP stance. Europe still favors him quite a lot. The Pango is kind of catching some steam again. No Wraithing this game, though. That should be noted. Quite a common pick up these qualifiers.
Yeah, absolutely. No Wraith King is probably the big one there. Coming back to Mars just for a second, though, we saw, how strong he could be at the ESL1 Birmingham, where a lot of the teams were running him in the off lane. We saw a couple of times LGD, for example, would pick maybe Mars mid. But I think it was really Crit and EG that they may not have pioneered it, but they definitely kicked off the whole position for Mars theory crafting and thought process behind it. So that is an option here, right? The pos 4 Mars, Jakiro in the 5, Beastmaster is your 3, Ember is your 2 or 1, being that flexible maneuvering carry or core hero. As over on the Radiant side, Aachen City, they seem much more simpler and set up, right? They've got their carry Sven, they've got their position 5 Ancient Apparition, their pos 4 Dark Willow, Pango is that position 3. We very, very rarely see him mid nowadays. Doesn't accelerate as quickly from that spot anymore. It feels like, but they've got kill threat on all of their heroes. Dark Willow AA, Dark Willow Sven, Sven AA. Any combination of these heroes, there it comes. Any combination of the Aachen City heroes can get kills, and Timbersaw just adds to that. All of these heroes enable each other to get kills on the lanes.
I like the Timbersaw pick. Since you were mentioning it, yeah, they have a lot of kill potential. That's why you pick Ancient Apparition in general as well. You want to have it with some cores that can offer you that kill potential. And with the Timbersaw, you get that strong early game. You have very strong lanes, a lot of threats in the early game. Starting to propose early, right? That's something we're seeing a lot in these qualifiers, where when you see a team, a lot of teams nowadays try to play the mid game. Very rarely we see those late game lineups. And to beat these mid-game lineups, you try to get slightly earlier mid-game, right? Try to propose those threat a bit earlier so that you get the choice of how the tempo of the game goes. And that definitely seems to be the case for Aachen City Esports.
Yeah, it was funny, right? We've gone from that situation where it was Lifestealer Wraith King going Midas Raddy, and that Raddy point, you know, 19 to 20 whatever minutes in, that was the point at which everybody in the game was like, okay, it's time to fight. This is where the 5v5 begins. And then we start seeing the Juggernaut come out with the Maelstrom drums, or the Yasha Maelstrom, whatever combination of that. Wraith Kings, they've started transitioning. We're seeing a lot more of the Armlet, Deso, AC, Blink BKB, get in your face, jump people, and play faster. That's what Dota often becomes. It becomes a race to see who can play the greediest, the fastest, while not losing any maintenance of their lanes throughout the draft and throughout the first kind of 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, and we'll see something similar here. We're gonna have a bit of a 4 protect 1 in the beginning for Wraith King, like you say, until he gets quite online. With the Sven probably played around the same way, perhaps not around that Radiance Midas timing though. And here are the presentations as the team finally load in.
Of course, it's symmetrical. UK Dota, they've got loud voices.
Oh, tell me about it. I meet them in my pubs all the time. Jesus Christ, the loud voices. Well, game has started and we get to see the lanes now. I do like, by the way, that you talk about that kind of position for not so relevant as a core Mars. I like it. I do enjoy it. I think it does work better for a lot of teams. Because you don't rely on him as your sole initiator as you get to the late game, where BKBs are rampant and your arena stops being so impactful. But well,
I think it's similar ideology to, you know, like the Enigma pos 4, that kind of thing, where you know that a black hole is going to be a black hole. Very rarely is it going to get interrupted for, you know, a second or 2 seconds. Very rarely is it going to fail. The threat is going to be there, and potentially the ability is going to be there. Same thing with Mars ulti. But the thing is, Mars doesn't farm jungle and accelerate. He plays the lanes. And I think that's become incredibly important in recent times, where we're seeing more and more heroes just play the lane, get that regen trade harassment battle done with in the first 3-4 minutes. You know, try and bust your opponent's economy early on while you rush for one of the side lane bottles, for example, is a good move that a lot of these players are making. And also Mars brings you that displacement ability. Having Spear, moving someone halfway down a lane, it can be insane. You think about how Tiny was so valuable as a position 4 hero because of Toss. Mars does a very similar thing, but he also scales much more linearly, it feels like. You know when he's strong, you know he's always going to be bringing stuff to the table, whereas Tiny is very much, you know, Avalanche, Toss, Burst, one and done. Mars is much more broad in terms of aspects he brings to the game.
I agree. He has the option to go for utility as well, not such a high, you know, pickup. Like, yeah, a bit of dependency on the Blink Dagger, but Tiny, much higher dependency on that ability. And he also has a bit of rotational power, much like Tiny. All these heroes that do offer that, you know, positional abilities work really nicely ganking the mid lane or even rotating a bit. Much more than a lot of the supports that we see nowadays. And we are going to see the Pango mid. We have actually seen this once, these qualifiers. I saw it in South America in the finals, actually. They lost, though, but ADR did play a Pango mid. The idea was to deal with illusions of the Pango mid against a CK, particularly. It did not work out for them, but it was a good idea. It was actually very well played as well. Unfortunately, it did not work out, but we'll see how it works this time with For Your Awesome Fun. Bit of a different proposition.
Exactly, they're playing the position 3 from the mid lane, right? They wanted these specific lane matchups to get the aggro try into the Wraith King to try and bust him as early as possible. You know that with Willow AA, the double range supports, you're going to out-harass and out-trade your opponents, and you have kill threat with a Stormhammer onto any hero. So they want to try and put the pressure on, and they'll do so now.
Yeah, but to stop playing, the counter pressure's coming in. Hanskin ready with that spear. Do you have enough damage to bring down Symmetrical? Symmetrical, very close to death. Hanskin chasing after him, but the auto attacks are just not enough. The Wraith King actually decided to leave this engagement quite quickly. Frost did not want to keep engaging, and they can't get the kill on the enemy carry.
Yeah, so they want to play aggro into this lane, make sure that Mars, like we were saying earlier, doesn't get to play the lanes and have that displacement ability mess up, you know, anybody else's laning stage. Leaves the Pango in a 1v1 against the Ember Spirit, which, you know, is going to be a farm trade, reasonably strong for both of them. Pango probably has an upper hand in the very early laning stage, just through Swashbuckle and Shield Crash. But he's gone for a 2-0-1 build. so that disarm's going to come in handy as well. And then you're leaving Timbersaw, the most important one here, I think, for Aachen City. This is the lane matchup that they've set up for everything. Timbersaw against Beastmaster. Timber's going to be able to get to level 4, level 5, start cutting the wave and pressuring this tier 1 tower from a very early point.
Yeah, that's the ideal situation as well. You let Timbersaw have the solo experience, farm as well with a pretty favorable matchup. Yeah, Beastmaster still can do something with the boars and whatnot, but just can't get close to lane. Annoying Whirling Death, constantly sending him out. And the idea then is, as you mentioned, Rajix, to create that space for your carry later on once you have that early game win. In the middle lane, no, that's just a bit of a farm trade. And you also in fun will do something similar as well. So the Timbersaw Pangolier actually have nice little peaks here that will work in conjunction to start those early game team fights, allow your Sven to farm the jungle safely without the need of him joining the fights.
Yeah, it's a super nice route. Their mid and bot laner both having solo lanes, and they're both utility heroes. So their peaks come a lot sooner than, say, the Ember Spirit or this Beastmaster, who require more itemization than they do actual levels. You think about, Beastmaster's Raw, it may get you a kill, but very rarely can you shove out anywhere without a Vlad's, a Necrobook, Roshan, you get Medallion, that sort of thing. Whereas Pango with an Arcane's a bottle, he's moving around and through his ultimate alone causing chaos.
Yeah, and the build-up is what? A Javelin? Essentially, you already have all the damage you need. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cheap build-up there. So, exactly. TFT will be a bit threatened early on because of this, but for now the lanes are not going particularly in anyone's favor. A bit afraid, though, if you're TFT, of leaving this Timbersaw completely alone against the Beastmaster. Maybe you want to rotate some heroes, maybe even the Mars, just to offer some pressure. Don't let him free farm entirely.
Yeah, the Timbersaw is definitely your primary worry right now.
Look at
stacking the Ancients. Pablo is baiting him.
Yeah. If you rotate people here as well, you also force them to go for a 2v2 perhaps, because Timbersaw might not want to have a 2v1 lane, and then you obviously take some experience away from Timbersaw, even if you are not necessarily winning the lane yourself because of that.
Yeah, we do have to think about, later down the line, we obviously feel like Aachen City here, oh god, Beastmaster. Gets the salve off, he'll be alright, yeah, he's fine, don't you worry.
Yeah, no more mana for Whirling Deaths, no soul ring yet on the Timbersaw, so can't be quite aggressive yet.
But you see how dangerous that is. Once Rajix hits level 6 or so, that's kill after kill after kill. So now the question has to be, does TFT rotate here in spot, or do they keep going aggressive on symmetrical top?
Well, for now it seems like they're trying to be aggressive and maybe force a kill on symmetrical. However, his positioning has been quite good until now. Warcry also gives him a bit of a saving ability, and the supports have been nice at protecting symmetrical. Even with the skeletons that Frost is trying to summon here, hurting a bit. Just not good enough. Meanwhile, Dark Willow here, Pablo actually steals the rune. TFT, not the best timing there. They should have been more aware of the bounty rune. They could have contested that. We're seeing 2 engagements now. Yosom Fun fighting double damage, trying to catch Chessie. Double damage doesn't add damage to Swashbuckle, but he can still kill Chessie. Instead, we're going to see a kill in the top lane. I took a guess and I missed. Just had to happen.
Yeah, I was watching top lane. They just all end on the Wraith King, right? The Mars, the Jakiro, they weren't available. Observable from the Radiant Deep, watching out for the Jakiro's stacks and pulls through on that lane, so they knew exactly where their opponents were, taking full advantage of it. Taking down Frost for first blood.
Oh, and top lane, Pexu could be in trouble, but the spear does not quite work as intended. Yeah. Dota for you. Remember the Firefly trick on Bad Rider, or the Spectral Dagger trick? You used to do that as well.
Yeah. That's why I don't like playing Mars, because I don't know where stuff like that's going to happen, and I always seem to find the spots where that's going to happen, so my spears never hit. Pablo's like, oh god, there we go again. See, look, he just goes straight over the ramp, past all the cliff tops, and Pablo's safe and sound away from that very likely death against Chessie, honestly.
Yeah. It's what's a building, what's not a building, what actually impacts with Mars' spear. It's just a matter of trying the hero out and just eventually finding out. Dota is not known for its consistency particularly. It's quite a difficult ability to actually learn to land. And oh, top lane, another initiation against Pixel. This time is Johnson Fine who joins in with the Rolling Thunder. They'll catch you. Ooh, the Wraith King, a much more valuable target, still level 3. No reincarnation, this man not even close. Johnson Fine with his level 6, misses the swashbuckle. Damage is still enough though. Pixel will go down. Pexu gets that kill.
Another nice grab, and this is why they're tri-laning top, right? Pango mid, up towards top, has an easy rotation to make. Doesn't matter really what rune he gets. It's, a rune is a rune. Fills his bottle, heads top, gets a kill. Wraith King yet again pressured, and Wraith King's timing delayed. That's the most important thing. We were hammering on about these timings for the carries. Wraith King's one of the most important ones. That Midas has to be online early. He doesn't have phase boots yet, and we're starting to look at a time at which he should have phase and radiance, you know, in about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's looking rough for Frost.
It is. The level difference as well. Even Sven is already 1 level above him. We already know that Sven also farms naturally better, even though he has not gone for any points yet in Cleave to not push out the lane. It's most likely going to be a 1-3-1 build just to push out, or sorry, take those stacks a bit afterwards. And TFT is hanging out here with Hanskin, but he has no mana, so no real kill attempt here anymore. Wraith King is actually relegated to the jungle. Doesn't seem like the lane went too well for TFT. The early game is working exactly as Aachen intended.
Yeah, you look down towards bottom. Look at that Timbersaw where he is. As I was saying, he's already taken the tier 1. He's on the tier 2. Doesn't give a damn. The Beastmaster's doing the best he can. Jibby is cutting wave down bot, dragging with the boars. So he still is getting a decent amount of experience, plenty of levels on his Beastmaster. So Helm of the Dominator being up and likely heading into that Necro book. He just can't stop the push from the Timbersaw. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, right now as a Beastmaster, like, what are your options? In fact, you also fans actually attempting to gank here. Going for Shiva. There we go. Primal Roar stopping him, but Regix does get a bit of damage off that Chakram. And misses the Timber Chain up to the high ground. They're still chasing after him with some illusions as well. Yosom fan hoping to proc that Lucky Shot. No Lucky Shot just yet. Shiva under the tower. They're diving this. There's no TPs. They're not helping out their core. Let him die, they say, as Aachen takes yet another kill. Good rotations here by Yosom.
So usually when that's happening, you would expect to see somewhere else on the map TFT are making strides to accomplish something. But they weren't pushing mid lane, they weren't trying to make an aggressive move top. Sven dips back into the triangle now so he can farm jungle with his Hand of Midas, which he has and Wraith King doesn't. Again, coming back to that timing. They try and make a play on Pango mid. Chessie has another couple of remnants here. A difficult kill to grab still though with that swashbuckle away. And yeah, Ember gives up on it. So right now it feels like TFT, they're just trying to weather the storm. They feel like post 25-30 minutes, maybe they have an upper hand with the with this Ember Spirit being so maneuverable and so slippery, and the very little amount of catch, honestly, on the Radiant team does make his life a dream. Chessie could have an exceptional game if they're able to kind of break the back of this early game shove in from the Radiant, because you're going to start losing all of your outer towers very soon.
It's true. The idea behind Aachen is just resist all the damage that this Ember might ever put onto you. Not necessarily catch him or kill him, you just don't care about him. With the Timbersaw, Sven, even a Pango to some degree can also evade a lot of this damage. Other supports stand behind these two tanky cores. Or if they get the farm in time, you know, that's definitely going to happen here. I see Symmetrical could be in trouble here. There's the Searing Chains. Symmetrical, still quite tanky, but Mars from behind tries to hit him. There's a Spear of Mars. It will hit against a tree. Symmetrical could be dead here. Goodbye as Chessie gets the kill, backs out. And now it's time for Yosom fan to avenge his dead teammate, hoping to kill the Jakiro in the process. Era will go down, but support for core, definitely a win right now for the guys at TFT. Hopefully not losing a second support in the process. Hanskin, right now. Alright, trying to get back home. Timbersaw meets him. TP's not the right place to TP, buddy. Gotta go down to the damage that Aachen can put out.
Yeah, I think they are so committed to the chase there, you die no matter what happens. Tries to go for the optimistic TP. May have worked, may not. It didn't this time. Unlucky, buddy. But this is where now the Timbersaw is going to set up home. He's going to shove out top tier 1 into tier 2, open up that dire jungle, and try and close out the area of the map that Wraith King and Ember can farm. Because TFT just got a really nice burst of gold. You know, they're keeping themselves in the game with pickoffs like that. Taking out the Sven, getting money up on your Chessie Ember Spirit, and you can see how freely Chessie feels he can play. He's diving tier 1, almost tier 2 in that mid lane, chasing after the Pango because this Radiant side doesn't have any way to catch him.
Yeah, how do you really stop Chessie right now? He knows this, and because of it, he's creating quite a lot of space, threatening that as tier 1 and reducing the map. Oh, top lane, there is this, an arena as you mark. It's actually Symmetrical who goes down here in the arena with the combination of both him and the Beastmaster. No use of the Primal Roar there, as we can see. Just the Mars itself. Support killing your core, essentially.
I mean, Beastmaster was there. I didn't need to use the Roar, but he has the Purge Creep to take off Warcry.
Oh, that's true. That's quite important. Necronomicon already.
Yeah, they're chasing down with the boars, with that little Purge Creep. You said Necrobook? The medallion's up on the Beastmaster. I don't know if he needs to go Necrobook this game. He might just go all auras, honestly.
I'd like to see the medallion helm kind of utility Beastmaster as well. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Necro because, you know, you actually do have Okay, start for the Beastmaster. But unless this happens to him, where they Ice Blast him, he tries to TP. Here's the help from the Timbersaw. Will the damage be sufficient? Yes, the Fear as well to cancel out TP. Trying to get the creep in the process. They do get 200 extra gold for the Pangolier.
Easy money.
Yeah, that's a lot of good money, actually. Rajik's TP just for this with barely any mana, but it was definitely worth
it. What's Timber got? Hood. Majority of Yules is going to be ready. This Timbersaw is going to be an absolute beast. 6,200 net worth. But it's still so difficult to kill off Chessie. You know, he's got a haste rune bottle. He's going to have drums. Wait, did he go drums now? That's complete, right? No, he's going Earth. He's going straight in Spirit Vessel against this Timbersaw. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh, Pixel. Right now, he's playing quite confidently. They can still stun him, though. They don't get the bounce off, but they do get the cold feet off.
Chessie.
That should be enough damage. Chessie will go down. Eventually, you can't get too arrogant. They pull Rajix away. But
he has a remnant.
He did, but he couldn't because he was stunned out, I think. Oh no, he didn't have the mana, actually. He didn't have the mana to go to the remnant, that's why.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So what I was saying about Chessie's free game, it only counts if Chessie doesn't run into the middle of 5 heroes and do that.
Stands to reason, yeah.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Well, we'll put that behind us and move on. Ern is now up on Chessie, so he still definitely wants to play the hyper-active Ember Spirit. You know, he needs to make space for the Wraith King. He's got Radiance queued up on Frost, so that's the direction they're heading. It's going to be that 25 to 30-minute period where they become this unstoppable ball of motion, moving in towards your base, as they do snipe out the Radiant Courier as well. Easy pick-off.
That's pretty good for TFT, you know. Slowly slowing down the game that this Timbersaw's trying to play. Taking the Courier a bit more gold. Chessie now playing with the Timbersaw. Rajix think of just going for the tower, but TFT, there's 3 heroes here. They do have the Arena Blood if they want to play this. I don't know if they can kill this Timbersaw, though. He has quite a lot of stacks that reactive armor, already maxed out as well. Here comes the Wraith King, though. Arena Blood with the Spear of Mars. And they put the Timbersaw against the wall with the Ice Blast, trying to help him out. There's the Fear as well. Magnificent Terrorize, allowing Rajix to get away. That Terrorize just gave him his life. You cannot kill this Timbersaw in time.
Man, this is a DD Rune Ember Spirit scared to go in. That Timbersaw did not die. It absolutely did not die. Even if that Terrorize hadn't landed on 4 people to send them all packing away from the Mars Arena, I think Rajix survived there. He had 1 charges, he had Hood,
top
Barrier
lane
Shield.
Yosem could be... Oh, no. He has 1 last swashbuckle. Can they catch him? No.
Nah, he's good.
He's good.
Just gonna swashbuckle away.
Oh, but the Rune Wars are starting.
Nice.
Dark Willow snaps.
Well done by Pablo.
Yeah, very good Bramblemaze there. But sorry, you were talking about the 4-man Terrorize. That was absolutely fantastic. And that Timbersaw was not going to die regardless.
Yeah, the Timbersaw was just absolutely flying through it all. That's how great this pick has been. 2-0-2 on Rajix currently, taking out all of the outer tier 1s, lining the pockets of his supports with tons of gold. We're looking at a Dark Willow here with Yules pretty much completed. The Ancient Apparition, you know, he's got brown boots, he's got his magic stick, he's fine. He's playing a very, very hard position 6 this game, but still has decent itemization already going forward. And now we start to see the Yule Scepters coming up. Maelstrom and nearly Diffusal on Yonasan fan, so he's their damage bringer along with the Sven. They're going to be the guys actually bringing the pain, while Timbersaw, he'll be tanking up.
Yeah, I like the build that he's going for, actually letting the Timbersaw become the utility, and he goes for, like you mentioned, full damage. We're not... Oh, actually in the middle lane. Yeah, Ember doesn't quite want to fight against the Cursed Crown. Bottom, there's also a team fight going on as they activate the God Strength. Symmetrical gets a free kill there. The help from Yosem fan, though, is not just his damage, also his mobility. He's been present in a lot of these engagements just because of that swashbuckle constantly TPing. Diffusal Blade almost completed. That's going to be a great way as well to deal with that Ember Spirit. Take away his mana, don't let him remnant himself away.
Yeah, the Wraith King as well, right? Wraith King pre-level 20.
True.
That reincarnation mana cost is pretty hefty.
Yeah, I wonder... I mean, you can only get the swashbuckle hits in, but I guess if you get him in every single swashbuckle you use, it's 8-second cooldown, you know? Oh, they just killed the Ancient Apparition with the boars there, and I think Axis. Wow. That must feel bad.
So the lead currently for Aachen City, it doesn't feel great enough. The Wraith King is now 1,000 gold away from Relic. He's getting closer to that 20-minute timing. Mars is getting plenty of time mid lane to actually soak up levels, but also push towards the Blink Dagger, which he's 700 gold away from. So you're starting to see the little puzzle pieces come together for TFT, with Vlad's Medallion going into the Solar Crest, Beastmaster is becoming this utility monster. Oh, they caught the Ember, but he's going to Remnant away again. He's got an absolutely free game. There's nothing to kill him. Chessie's fine. He's not going to die again this game. He's 1-1-0. He is unkillable now.
Yeah, they couldn't get the terrorize off.
Yeah, it's unlucky. But you can see how TFT are playing very wide map. You know, Frost is alone, Chessie's alone. Usually this Beastmaster is alone. No one's playing together, really. They're not giving these combo kills or chain kills away to Aachen City. And they're trying to pull them from one side of the map to the other, leaving the Timbersaw just to do what they want, do what he wants. They don't want to face the Timber. They can't face the Timber. So they're just letting Aachen City go to places on the map. TFT doing very well to play the opposite side and have that mirror movement, reading the map very well.
That's true. I like that TFT knows the strength of the Aachen lineup, not letting them execute this early game dominance too much, and the whole goal here is just let the Timbersaw kind of fade into obscurity, don't have his power peak to let him be useful during that power peak, and then just win a bit afterwards once the Wraith King is actually online. Play that 4 Protect 1, they usually play with the Wraith King in a bit of a more defensive way. Get that Radiance up, and then maybe you can start putting some pressure. Also, I do love the Beastmaster here, going for the Vlads that you mentioned. Now Solar Crest finished up. He has been pushing towers like crazy, shoving out these lanes, not letting Aachen even get close to the objectives.
Like, yo, he's on your tier 3. Timbersaw has to come back here.
Yeah.
Chessie is cutting mid-wave, so you can't commit on tier 2 mid. So you're just getting pulled like limb from limb. Your left arm's going northeast, your right arm's going northwest. Your Sven's being caught by an Ember and a hero.
Oh, like this Spear of Mars, putting him against the wall, symmetrical, still fighting in that, but they're afraid. Mars has to get away. In the end, they catch him out, they're near his shrine. The TPs were easy, but symmetrical, and the backlines get killed off by a simple Beastmaster wild axes. And look at those boars! The A dies to the creeps alone! But they're gonna punish him for that. Yule Scepter cancels that TP, and now it's Beastmaster against the world. With the help of Embersphere in the low ground, gets rooted up. They don't get a Terrorize off in time. Another free game for Chessie, unable to stun him. They have to let him go, but they do lose the Beastmaster in the process at least.
But yo, that's a better than equal trade. You're trading your plus 3 for a plus 1, you're trading your plus 4 for a plus 5. That's already a net victory for you. At the same time, you have Wraith King farming bot. His Radiance, I thought this was going to be after 20 minutes, but he's got it pre-20 minutes now. Sick timing from Frost after an atrocious laning stage, which, you know, by no fault of his own, went incredibly poorly. He has recovered. His team has made space for him, and TFT are well on their way to hitting that 25 to 30 minute window, which their lineup really does excel at. Yeah, and talking about the Wraith King, you know, it's surprising not only he had a bad early game, but he's actually beating the Sven in terms of farm. They both have a Midas. Sven should theoretically farm faster, but all the space they gave to Frost to just essentially free farm for a while allowed him to get this Radiance timing quite nicely, and still being the Sven in terms of farm. The Timbersaw being, I guess, the most farmed hero area now in Aachen City Esports, but because of his utility, if you don't get to actually team up and go for objectives, then all of these Timbersaw farm is not really utilized properly. Yeah, we will hit the point, though, when Sven gets BKB, where Aachen City will have an unkillable object, right? Suddenly Sven will be that guy that is able to burst through the Ember Spirit, get that physical damage in, not care about the Searing Chains, or the Ice Path, or the Mars ulti, or the Spear, or anything. He can just walk in and do his damage, latch onto a target, and burst them down. That's what Aachen City have been missing so far. They've got great poke, great little sort of prodding their opponents from great distance. Single target pickoff is there as well, but they haven't been able to go for a big team fight yet. Not able to deal with that Ember Spirit or Wraith King. With level 2 Reincarnation, level 2 Remnants, difficult to catch them. But wait, I'm going to come back to that Beastmaster, just quickly 1 second. The double ball with the Ghost, the little Ghost with the slow. First of all, AA wasn't moving. He had like 10 move speed. Okay, 100 move speed. But he died so quickly because of the Vlad's aura.
Yep. I mean, the board damage is pretty great there, of course, and it all kind of worked out for the AA made out of paper. Let's be honest, the AA has 4 armor, he has very low HP, yeah, he didn't get a Terrorize off. So he's an easy target, but the fact that the Beastmaster doesn't even have to commit anything, like, he even thought about it, you know, Pixel was like, maybe I can just go kill him, and then realized, no, my Zoo can kill him for me. There's no need for me to deal with this AA at all, and this puts you in a difficult position where you might want to keep your AA even further back, just to Ice Blast and have no other utility. And here's what we're talking about, though. Aachen starting to now put some pressure. There's still no Sven. Well, the Sven BKB is actually ready, just on the courier, or should get it soon.
Oh,
they're already taking the tower.
Courier got sniped, but it didn't have BKB on it. I was so worried there for a
second. Yeah. Well, I meant on the courier. It's in his stash. It can be brought to him eventually. Thank God he didn't decide to bring it to him yet.
He will have to go back to base. I think Sven TP's bot, pushes out bot wave, gets his BKB. Are they committing on top tier 2? Okay, that's fair enough.
Pango about to complete his ag. That's another bout of like pretty nice damage. He did go for the typical level 15 talent with a 2-second shield crash. So now your ball actually deals a ridiculous amount of damage. In addition to being one of the best control abilities for that Ember Spirit. Because you can perma-stun him if you do get him in the right position.
Right, we have our Sven BKB. He shoved out away bottom lane, grabbed his BKB. This should be a signal to go smoke. Oh, Pango Ags as well. Sick. This timing is all hitting real nicely. Yeah. It does AA by a smoke? He does. It's time to go. Pexu should gather up his team, herd them together, start whistling their names. Come on, boys. Smoke time. The question is always going to be where they smoke into, because they have triple wards top. By process of elimination, they know that no one apart from maybe the Ember Spirit's playing top if they catch a glimpse of him. So likely they want to try and wrap around into their jungle and clear through there, sweep the enemy wards, get rid of the vision that TFT have been placing and utilizing themselves. There is the other equal option though, and that's Roshan. Everyone's going to be pivoting towards the pit.
I mean, it is a good option, but you are fighting, like, if TFT... You don't have the Beastmaster with a medallion, right? So, if TFT does catch wind of it, sorry, and they decide to go... In fact, look at that. I think that was, TFT scanning the Roshan. They thought the same thing as you. If they find this out, though, you're fighting against an Arena Blood. Reincarnation, which is actually quite powerful in the pit as well. There's the smoke. And just judging by the lines, it seems like they're just gonna try to find the first kill they can mid. Hanskin's not ideal for the smoke, but it is a kill. Yule Scepter up. Symmetrical with the Stormhammer. Chessie wants to help out his teammate, realizes this is dead. Yeah, just walks in like, nope, I'm not going in there.
Man, it's like a ballet. Everyone's spinning and dancing and waving their arms around. And that was beautiful. Really nice initiation from Aachen City. They do still struggle with the bottom lane, you know, their Radiant side. Dire is always shoving him down bottom. It's obnoxious. Tier 3 already down to half HP just through skeletons and boars alone. It's been insane. Now you do have that skelly damage bonus on the Wraith King through the talent.
Yeah.
Link Dagger and Radiance for Frost as well. It's only a matter of time, honestly, until TFT feel ready to fight.
Yeah, and they've been playing this quite well, right? Not fighting before their peaks have come yet. They have been playing properly defensively, but without giving too much of their map away, right? All these wards in the enemy area has also helped them out considerably, and making sure they know where the rotational enemies are, when the Sven is farming, when they're ready to fight. Because of course, when you're going to smoke up when the Sven is ready, you're usually going to include in the smoke, and then you won't see him in the enemy jungle. TFT can just play defensively then. Also the shoving at the lanes, which has been fantastic for TFT. Both, not only the Beastmaster, but also the Jakiro era has been doing a fantastic job right now. They're going to catch Hanskin again, I think. All the smokes for this poor Hanskin, but this is next to his shrine, so they could fight this out. Terrorize comes in just to kill off the Mars. There's your initiation gone from behind, and Ember almost destroys the AA. AA has been torn to shreds as Frost is fighting in the middle of this. Reincarnation already down. They managed to kill off the Jakiro as well. In comes Symmetrical with God's Strength, and poor Frost will not last longer than a second. TFT lose 3, one of them their carry. This does not go well for them.
Beastmaster TP was on cooldown. Wraith King made the call to go TP to Shrine, shift through Blink onto the AA, immediately blew up Pexu, but you're fighting, you know, potentially 3 or 4 versus 5 as TFT. Without your Beastmaster there, that was like a ridiculous move to make.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing is, Ancient Apparition scouted Roshan, Radiant saw that Roshan was empty. I think the Dire team saw that happen because they had 3 heroes around the pit. They could have easily gone into the pit, sniped Roshan, taken Aegis, and then TP'd back to defend their bottom tier 3. But it's these very fast-paced decision-making situations which, you know, separate the best players in the world.
Oh, this Timbersaw's put against the wall. That's a really nice stun into 3, though. Timbersaw is tanking quite a fair bit of damage. He's actually going to be able to get out. For now, doesn't even need to get out. Actually manages to kill Hanskin. Now going for the Beastmaster. In comes the Dark Willow with that Bedlam trying to finish off Shebit. Symmetrical also looking for that Blood. Stormhammer misses. And they're going a bit too deep. They know TFT. I mean, they can't really kill this Timbersaw. He's healing like crazy. They're not dealing any damage right now to Rajix.
Timber has 68 per sec regen when he has max stacks. He has Pipe, Greaves, Soul Ring, Yule, He's not running out of mana, he's not running out of HP, he's not running out of armor. He is unkillable right now, and the first lane of Rax not quite falling there, but a good attempt so far from Aachen City. Sven doesn't feel comfortable moving in, even with a BKB. God's Strength wants to fall back as the rest of TFT respawn, but now's when they can go for shrines. Now's when they can really get that stranglehold on the map, take control of the Roshan pit if they take the dire northern shrine. And look at TFT, they're already moving out. This is a great play to make, to take that shrine area, take this plateau, take this jungle spot where they can hold multiple ramps. You can see the warding being done by Era already, covering the entrance points to this high ground. It's a sick place to be, but the Radiant know it happens.
And they're gonna catch the Beastmaster first. Sheba's the first to die here. Frozen Saw not even having an impact this team fight as Era falls in his footsteps. And they kill him as well. Pexu is just the, I guess, the one victim that dies for Aachen City Esports. Doesn't really matter. He's been dying every single team fight. His job is not really there to survive. He gives some space, lets Aachen now take this Roshan, and it's time for TFT to try to defend this. I mean, I don't know if they can, to be honest. Frost actually in the top lane. Can they stop him? Yes, they can with a root. Now the fear. He does the reincarnation. No more mana anymore. So no more reincarnation. Get a swashbuckle out. Yeah. Frost will go down. That diffusal blade working wonders.
Absolutely destroyed. So that one ward where I'm looking now and pinging, the Radiant had it for maybe 15, 20 more seconds just here. And they saw the movement coming in from the Dire team up onto that high ground. They knew exactly where they were going to be. So they move in towards that plateau area, but they don't push straight up onto the ramp, right? They hold, they find the Beastmaster, they get the pick, they move forward, they get additional grabs as they're able to reach with that long-range secondary initiation from Jonas and Fan's Pangolier, which closes the gap on them. And then Roshan's a freebie for them from then on out. A nice little bonus skill on Wraith King, just a cherry on the top. This early game into mid game has been exceptionally well executed by Aachen City.
Now they also fight Hanskin yet another time. I don't think there's anyone for you to run, man. There we go. Hanskin also goes down. Yeah, another kill onto this poor Mars that had a decent impact in the early game, but immediately got destroyed like maybe, what, 4 or 5 times, got caught out. You know, these smoke ganks stopping your initiation. Yeah, it's just a support, but it is one of your main initiators. You can't use Arena of Blood, so these team fights are just guaranteed now for Aachen City Esports, who also likes these 5v5 engagements to begin with. Jesse's gonna try to push down bottom. I don't know if it's gonna be successful. They can't quite kill him, so he has to, yeah, move back. They know. They have the Pango, highest mobility, so just quickly push him back and keep on shoving the lane.
Yeah, that's just what he has to do right now. The trouble being, you see this Ember Spirit, you know, goes for the Spirit Vessel to try and get that mid-game timing against the Timber Saw, and it's a great item to be able to swing fights against the Timber. But Rajix's itemization is such that he can never have one of those soul release charges put on him. He has Yules, he has Greaves, 2 ways to dispel those charges of the Urn or the Spirit Vessel. So that HP reduction is very rarely or never actually on the Timber Saw. Plus he has a pipe on top of Greaves. Like, he just takes no damage.
Yeah, he has the coverage as well if things go wrong from the Terrorize, which is a fantastic disengaging skill. Which, by the way, just want to mention quickly, the Willow actually went for the Ags here, Pablo, so there's a bit of damage also coming out. Yeah. This Willow is ready to dish out some damage, help out the Timber Saw in more ways than just defensive. Even the Ancient Apparition with the Ice Vortex is quite helpful at just letting him run away.
Yeah, I can't wait for Pablo to hit level 25 and get the attack speed talent.
At the rate this game is going, it's not going to go that long, so...
I know. Let a boy dream. So, right now, TFT, they're very focused on just pushing out side lanes, cutting waves, doing whatever they can to manipulate creep equilibrium across the river onto the Radiant side. Drastic situations call for drastic measures, and that's what TFT have kind of relegated themselves to, almost. Bot lane, it looks like we will have a gathering of creeps reach the Dire base. TFT hoping that they've done enough top and mid to be able to hold this back. But I feel that with Aegis BKB in the hands of Sven, with a Blink Dagger to boot, there's no stopping this Aachen City team from just going high ground. This Aachen City high ground from going high ground. They're
going high ground. Let's see. Ice Path does physically stop him, but for how long? They have a Scythe of Vice, by the way, on Timber Saw, so the cats we were talking about, they didn't have for the Ember, it's there now. It's there. They can stop the Ember now.
It is.
And Rajix can't really hit too hard, but he can stay here forever, as far as he's concerned. Symmetrical doesn't quite want to use God Strength just yet. He's been disarmed, just trying to gain some time. There's the God Strength after the Heaven's Halberd gets used, and the Glyph gets forced out. But Aachen City can just, stay here. This is their base now. Nothing that TFT can do to stop him. Constant ice bathing though. And now with a spear. Maybe they got a bit too cocky. Where's the arena? Not coming out. No spear, no ready. Ice blast trying to stop him. Good disengage there. Okay, they continue hitting these melee racks. As the Dark Willow starts dishing out some damage. Look at Frost dying just to the Dark Willow and the Pangolier. Symmetrical about to lose his Aegis. But he's ready for the second round as Fan tries to kill the Beastmaster himself alone. A lot of damage to the Swashbuckles. Finally, the arena comes out, and this is the team fight that TFT was looking for. Getting the Pango properly. He's out of mana as well. But there's no follow-up, and Rajix is unkillable to begin with. TFT unable to even touch Aachen City Esports.
TFT are doing a lot of damage, but Timbersaur is just absorbing it all. Like, Ember Spirit did 5k damage that fight. Where did it all go? It went into the Timbersaur's, you know, reactive armor and pipe and Greaves. It just tickles away at people. You bring down AA to like 60% of his HP, Dark Willow to like 80%. You're doing nice split damage. You're just not able to get the killing blow on any of these heroes. Even with Wraith King having that level 20 talent. No reincarnation mana cost. Sick. Oh, nice blink away by Jibby. Gets away from Symmetrical for a second or two. But this boy with the Echo Saber and DD, he's chasing you.
Oh, what a stun. I think this Beastmaster has to do from a roar. Here comes the help from Rajix and the snipe from the Ice Blast, ensuring this kill. Meanwhile, they find Hamskin as well. Can they stop his TP? Yes, they can. You'll set their Stormhammer. Who cares? Just stop that TP, kill the man, and go on forward to claim that victory.
Dude, there it comes again. Like I was mentioning in the draft, any combination of these heroes can make kills across the map. You know, at any given point of the game. 5 minutes in, 10 minutes in, 25 minutes in, you have the Dark Willow, the Sven, the AA, global presence to find snipes on heroes, the long-range reach and catch from Rajix and Fan as well. Don't ever forget Swashbuckle plus Timber Chain. They're able to traverse the map in a matter of seconds. So they're actually doing very well dealing with the wave shove and this split push from Ember Spirit. As bottom lane, would you believe it, is back onto the Radiant Tier 3. Someone's going to have to come and address this problem.
Well, really? Are they not going to address this problem? Just let the Tier 3 fall? Okay. We're just going to slowly watch as this Tier 3 falls. Oh, they just trust their creeps, right? Yeah, super creeps, yeah.
No, so the problem is Pango doesn't have a TP scroll. So what Fan's been doing is TPing. So when they were pushing bot lane, the Beastmaster was shoving top, but Pango was able to TP scroll home and boost the travel into the fight later on.
True. Oh. Is this going to be another one of those... I'm not really sure if it's a fight if Rajix doesn't take any damage, to be honest. He's just chilling here. Not really concerned about this. They can't even hurt the Sven anymore. Symmetrical also tanks a fair amount. These two strength cores, and you don't have the Timbersaw on your team. So how do you stop him?
Like, I didn't even mention Warcry before, did I? Like,
no,
this Pipe Greaves Warcry on top of it as well. Man, it is some disgusting stuff. Have fun with your Sleight of Fist. Have fun with your Mars ulti.
Warcry is actually one of the reasons why the supports have been surviving these past few team fights. Sven's tanked up, he has enough strength now. And the Warcry is now brutal, stopping the Sleight of Fist. Ember can no longer catch him quickly and, you know, back out, which he was doing in the beginning. Or the Beastmaster was just killing the Ancient Apparition as well. I mean, we have the net worth is clearly in favor right now of Aachen City Esports and dominating the final tribe. They can't be killed. The final tribe needs to get a fantastic arena blood where they manage to kill the easier targets. Ideally the supports and Pangolier.
I love that Aachen City aren't rushing anything. Taking it very systematically. Next Roshan potentially up in less than a minute. And they know this timing, so they play the top lane, the mid lane. They've already broken bottom, so they can go from this high ground double ramp area, play into both of the creep waves, shove them in, force that pincer movement, force that pressure from two angles that TFT have to deal with. If you feel like you can commit to another high ground push, then you go for it, but very likely they just want to try and force TFT out of their base, force TFT to smoke and play aggressively and try and catch them on the retreat.
Yeah, and hope for those, you know, counter kills when TFT is not particularly... Oh, wait. Is this going to be... No, see, they're trying to go for these smokes, TFT here. And actually, they're trying to get the control of this triangle again, which is important so you can find the high ground. But, oh, no! They can't cancel this, thank God. Rajix actually used the Yule Scepter on himself. You couldn't see him in time. But they're trying to get control back of this triangle, be able to, you know, at least force a team find the high ground, not necessarily go in their base. If they have to, be able to be a bit more aggressive, propose something, but it's very difficult against an Aachen that just won't die. And maybe swap these things around, catch him from behind, would be good for TFT.
Yeah, they have to do something like that, right? They have to break the back lines. They've got to catch the AA, I think, most importantly. Try and ignore the Sven through BKB, and maybe try and ignore him through God's Strength. Give him a building while you defeat the rest of the team behind him. It's real rough, though. Real rough. And I've got to say, you know, during the draft, I didn't really put too much credence or faith in the mid Pango. I feel like recently it just hasn't felt as strong as it did, you know, when it first came out. People have had answers to it. But in this game, the fact that he's gone for Ags early on and has Diffusal Maelstrom Basher, this Yonasan Fan Pango is a monster.
He is. He is. That Axe has worked wonderfully. Okay, this is a good Ice Breath though, plus Macropire, but the Spirit Mars not quite working in conjunction with his abilities. They stun out Frost, keep him stunned. Look at that battery from the Willow. Just this machine gun of magical damage.
Artillery.
There we go. Okay, they will catch a Timbersaw with the Ice Path. They can continue this, but Timbersaw is gone. He doesn't feel pain. Rajix cannot be stopped. Just walks off like nothing happened. Regens back with a reactive armor stacks. And the counter kill from TFT. I mean, this is their attempt now, but they're doubting themselves. They are doubting if they should actually go forward. This could be a bad engagement if they try to just go head on against the enemy team.
It's like you... I can't help but giggle. Like, you say they catch the Timbersaw, and I'm just sat there thinking, yeah, they caught him. But it's like catching a T-Rex, right? You've put the ropes around him, you've kind of trapped him in place, and then he stands up and roars at you, and you're like, shit, we don't really want this now, do we?
Yeah.
What even does he buy next? Like, he has Shivers, Hex, Yule's, Greaves, Pipe. Does he just sell Soul Ring for Ags at this point?
Yeah, I like the Ags. I like the Ags idea. I mean, you need that damage, right? You're already invincible. You might as well get some damage in your build. Okay, this could work, though. It's kind of a wraparound. Trying to get control of the high ground. And in fact, Aachen is kind of in position. Not quite, though. They're not going to find them. So at least they're going to be even ground. There they go. But the Pango has quite a lot of mobility. There's the Spirit Mars onto the wall. They can kill the Pango first. This is the ideal team fight right now for TFT. Exactly what they should be doing. Timbersaw, though, comes to annoy them. Both BKBs have now been activated. Go for the Willow next. Try taking out the supports. Don't bother with the Timbersaw. Ignore them completely. Here are the cores. But Frost is actually being pushed away by this Willow and her Ags. And here comes Pango again. He's bought back just for this team fight. Try to win it out. And the Mars is now in trouble. Gonna go down to Yonasan Fan. As now Frost is going to lose his first life here. Reincarnation gone. Here's the buybacks from TFT as well. Frost is to get away. Blinks in time. The Ember also getting a bit of space. But the Ember, he needs to get away with that Spirit. Can they stop him in time? Do they have any stuns? No. Chessie. Slow down. There's the Hex finally. Hanska going in, but the Ember's not lasting enough. They're going to go down. It's a dieback for the Ember. Meanwhile, Frost also going down. He does have the buyback, but, I mean, you've lost your Wraith King. You lost your Ember there. Mars is gone. Dieback as well for him. And poor Shibe, who's just been hanging out behind the whole time, finally dies to an Aachen City Esports, who puts out the rough face and destroys TFT. 2 buybacks now. 3 heroes left alive for TFT. Two who don't have buyback. Let's go for the buyback so people can see.
And you can see how far behind they really were right now. All that early game pressure. TFT, that was their triple 10-second BKB team fight. They had BKB on Ember, Wraith King, and the Beastmaster. They went in on the perfect line, they find the perfect catch, they kill the Pango, but he buys back. There's a shrine there, he TPs too, and they immediately have the counter initiation they wanted. The Mars ulti came a little bit too late, it felt like, and the fight was a bit split, but it was forced that way by Aachen City. You know, Timbersaw naturally forces fights to be split as you chase him or he chases you. The Sven also, a hero that you want to kite and bait around.
Here's the BKBs. There's another attempt by TFT with the Primal Roar catching the Pango. Another time going for the easiest target. And the BKBs allow them to get this kill. But they're still symmetrical. And Rajix to deal with. And they just can't be killed. Frost will go down. That's his first life. But they're aiming for 2. 2 for 1 here. Trying to kill him twice. Frost still surviving for now. The Sven kind of being divided. Not sure what to kill. The Terrorize now destroying Frost. And he's going to go down quickly. Thanks to the Whirling Death stat loss reduction. Now what do? They don't have their cores. It's only Beastmaster and Jakiro against the world. I don't think Aachen cares one bit. Take the racks, win the game. Are they really going to back out? Maybe afraid of the Ember coming back? Yeah. They're going to play this defensively. Make sure they do guarantee this game entirely.
There's absolutely nothing they gain from pushing further apart from, you know, a tier 4 or 2. I don't think committing there when Roshan's alive, Bounty Runes have spawned, DD Rune has spawned top. You know, there's so many resources to gain on the other side of the map. You're kind of like, effective value-wise, it's probably more of a positive for us to fall back here, and the chances are, if that Wraith King is able to come back, which he's not because buyback's on cooldown, the potential was they didn't keep track. It was a massive hectic team fight for 2 or 3 minutes. Keeping track of buybacks and that such can be difficult, but it is just a nicer, more systematic play to fall back, wait for God's Strength to come up again, wait for all your abilities to come off cooldown, go Roshan, take Aegis Cheese, and then you just fully end the game, because you know that TFT have like no buybacks. Pretty much no one in the game has buybacks. The 2 important heroes on the Radiant do, though. Oh, I say that. Timbersaw just spent money.
I mean, why do you need a buyback if you don't die, right? Like, that's the Timbersaw logic. Boot to travel?
Yeah, that's true. Boots to travel, yeah, just bought boots. And he'll farm up buyback in, a matter of 2 minutes or something.
Yeah. Rajik's quite comfortable this match, honestly. But the thing is, and not just Rajik's, because you can kind of ignore the Timber. I mean, it's not ideal. He actually got that level 25 talent, which is amazing against the Wraith King, and we've seen a couple times destroy him, just shreds through him. But if you can sort of ignore the Timbersaw, fine. He doesn't deal the most damage. You can at least use the PKBs against him. What do you do against the Sven? You gotta kite him with the melee core. I mean, 2 melee cores you have. I guess Ember can. Wraith King can definitely not. And in fact, they catch the Ember. Talking about him, ooh, that would have been bad. Forced to BKB.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he's real panicked right now. Yeah, for sure. You've got to consider, like,
maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. There's like four melee cores, right? If you include the Mars and the Beastmaster. Yeah. It's really difficult to kite out because you have to kite the Sven, and you have to kite the Timbersaw, and you have to be worried about the slipperiness of the Pangolier, as well as the damage output from the Willow and the AA. AA has Ags. Willow has Ags. They've nearly got to cite the voice on the Willow. And Pablo and Pexu here, they're able to kill pretty much anyone on the map.
Oh, don't mind me. Just a wee thing.
Just the 2 of them.
As you mentioned, the Willow, Pablo gives us a voice line just to showcase how strong he's being this game, because they have had a tough time beating her. As you mentioned, she has been very farmed, this Willow. Pablo, I mean, it's one of his signature.
Just a wee fairy going about her business.
Fantastic. And Pablo with that artillery, he's just been destroying. I mean, he's actually been killing Frost. He's dealt a ridiculous amount of damage to Frost. This is the last attempt. Going for a smoke out from behind. And Pablo's like, nope, where are you going? What are you even attempting? They're going to kill the Ember first. They have enough damage. Yes, it is. Chessie's gone. That's it. I mean, they lost Chessie. He doesn't have buyback. Sheep is trying his best. Primal Roar to the Willow. Just kill the Willow at least. And Frost gets that kill. But in exchange for his Beastmaster's life, also for one of his supports, Hanskin. And now they're gonna catch the wee fairy. Such an annoying fairy. Frost's gonna be killed as well here. I mean, I guess he has to die twice, but the GG is just incoming. There's nothing the rest of TFT can do. It's 4 without buyback, all dead, and it's gonna be a full team wipe, all without buyback.
Man, you know it's rough when your enemies are running into your Mars arena and not running away from the Mars arena? Just a dogpile of Aachen City Esports players get into that arena of blood and absolutely destroy the Beastmaster inside of it all.
I mean,
that was a stomping. That was a sick draft. Really, really well executed.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We have seen the Timbersaw a bit. I actually saw quite a lot in the... They tried a bit in the South American qualifiers, also in CIS, and not too much success, right? Sometimes when you propose early, it also puts the onus of the game on you, right? Because you have to execute very well in the draft, and if you don't... Sorry, in the game. And if you don't get that early game, then you sometimes fall behind, you get pressured, because you think, oh, we have a Timbersaw, we can't really win late, and you lose. But in this game, they executed the draft perfectly. This is exactly why you draft this kind of, like, early game, early proposition draft for the Pango Timbersaw. Very well played.
Yeah. Their early laning decision was very good to go aggressive tri-lane. They made that work really nicely. The mid lane Pango against the Ember Spirit was sick from Yunasum fan. He was able to control the map the early 5-6 minutes, sort of into 10 minutes, was when he was roaming around causing chaos and actually ganking and finding kills. I think in the first 9 kills he was part of 7 of them. Was really nice performance coming out of him. And of course, Radjek's on that Timbersaw. They put him against the poor Beastmaster. They traded farm for 6 or 7 minutes. And then Timber said, yo, you know what? I really hate objectives and towers on your side of the map. Walked at them, they all fell over. They got all the tier 1s by, 12 minutes, then all the tier 2s by 20. It was just this domino effect of systematic destruction that Aachen City was able to push through. Final Tribe, they had elements of excellence, honestly. They were able to come back on their Wraith King. Good mid-game performance from Chessie. They just were never in a position where their draft was strong enough to fight into what Aachen City has had built up from, pick 2, pick 3.
Yeah, and I just talk about this amazing Timber. So I just want to mark out he has not died a single time this game, which is not surprising. I mean, he was unkillable, and if you actually look at the damage, which I love these little stats, you actually see that he reduced 73.5% of the physical damage received. Like, that's almost 3/4 of the physical damage received completely reduced by Red Cheeks. And you have a Wraith King, you have an Ember who, well, they deal a fair amount of physical damage. Shiba as well with his Beastmaster. All that damage is gone. It was just your Mars Jakiro and to some degree your Ember that had to deal with his hero, which it was impossible. You couldn't. He also had a 53% or 60% damage reduction for magical. So overall, what do you do? He didn't kill Ember a single time. I guess that should be noted. It was all symmetrical. I could kill Ember, but he just had to tank and soak up the damage.
Like, Timber also did like 6,000 heal in those fights. He's not just tanking himself up through those items. He's tanking up the rest of his team. He's making sure that, along with Warcry, like we mentioned earlier on, the Greaves, the Pipe, everything else was keeping the AA and Dark Willow, who are two very squishy heroes, that kept them alive through fights. Very rarely do we see, oh no, Pexu and Pablo have both been blown up. Occasionally the Wraith King would jump one, get that one pick off, and then get swarmed by the rest of Aachen City. They'd reposition, they'd get Yunasan Fan on top of targets immediately. I think that's something that definitely has to be said. Yunasan Fan was a massive damage dealer. He was the one being given Aegis, and he was probably the biggest hero on the field for a long time in that mid game, but he was still their initiator. Radix and Symmetrical were the kind of second wave damage dealers. They played like the position 1 and position 2. Yunasan Fan played like the position 3, even though he built like a carry.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to say goodbye to this first game of the day, but we still have tons of games coming up. The next game is actually between a team that has not been doing so well until now, these qualifiers, but they're hoping to pick it up with this next game in their group stages. It's Chaos EC, and next is going to be Anti-Mage. They're going to be versing each other, Chaos EC versus Anti-Mage. Group stages, best of ones completely. And this means that these matches are quick, but also very entertaining, because, it's when the nicest and coolest drafts can come out. That said, guys, it has been a pleasure casting for you guys. Hope you've enjoyed the cast. My name is DSwordfish here with Gareth, here bringing you full EU casters for the EU qualifiers. And we will be moving on now with a bit of a break until we get to that second match. Until then, guys.